And the horror continues. We go from tabletop role-playing games to card game. So now what's great about this is that you can use basically this with the TTRPG and vice versa. So this comes into a nice nifty box and everything like you have in board games. So now what's great is you do get your rules reference, so you know like how to play this game. So it gives like a good explanation on, hey, look, here's how you do everything. So, and how to like, explain the tokens, the cards. So like nice little book that you can go through. As I flip through this kind of relatively quickly. So this is like it says, the rule book, and like a breakdown of everything that you need for this game on how to play it and everything. So then it gets into actual like appendices, like the kind of like the explanation of the actual cards and everything that we'll be getting into, and then like the index on the back, and then we have like a good like quick reference and like learn how to play, pretty much like in a sense a cheat sheet that like the first rule book that we just went through. It's kind of like an abridged version of that, so it gives you like a good idea of like how to set up the game, the different cards, and how to like actually play everything and like play the characters that you get in this. So you got nice and then you get like the starter decks for each of the characters and everything. It explains all that, and with that we get like in a sense like as you can see, a campaign guide for the actual like episodes that you're going to be going through for the card game. Then you can kind of go on from that. So now we actually get into like the actual tokens and stuff that you see that we use for this game. So like they're both two-sided that we use. So like you got like a nice little nifty pouch that you can use, plus some like character cards. As I try and open this, so like little characters that you can like use to represent like all your characters. So like when they're alive, and then like when they're defeated. And then we get into the actual cards and everything. So like for instance, let's kind of open this like for the first time. So we got like the different like all the cards that you can see. So we got the back ends. So like plus the different types of like ones that you can tell like for each deck, and plus like in a sense like cheat sheets and stuff. So like we got like in a sense ones for like the different scenarios that you can use for like the whole campaign, everything. So then we get into like even more cards and everything. So what's great about this is, like I said, is that like this would be a good introduction to the actually Arkham Horror, and then you can use this to kind of bridge into the TTRPG. So as you can see, we're going through kind of like the scenarios that like is in those pamphlets that we just went through, and these are all the cards that you'd use for each individual one. And then we get into further into the cards. So now each character pretty much has their own deck and everything. And so like, I mean, these are kind of like allies, minions, foes that you're like people and like items that you're going to be coming across through the game. And so like each one in like in the booklet described on like each icon, like, okay, this is how it's cost, this is what it's about, this is like the, in a sense, the mana that you use, these are the kind of like the abilities that it has. So kind of like sort of like other card games, like with the Magic the Gathering, has like the whole description of like the card, like what it entails, and each different card that you're going to be using for this stuff. So and like I said, we get into like we went through like the scenarios, and then we can actually get into like the characters. So like each character in a sense has like a starter deck, and so like they have like all these different abilities and items that they can use, their allies they can call upon. So like for, in a sense, like as you can see, like for like Wendy Adams here, this is like her, in a sense, her starter deck. And then you get into like the other starter decks. So like in a sense, you have like at least 2 players in this. So like you can see like now the starter deck for Angus Baker Agnes Baker, I should say Angus. I'm thinking Angus beef and everything, so different, like the same kind of concept, like the allies and like items and like pretty much like the stuff they can use. And it also has like in a sense like a cheat sheet that you can use for what you can do in each round. So as you can see, like there's like several decks for each of the characters. So each instance, each character has their own starter deck. So I'm pretty sure that there are expansions, but like I haven't seen any that I'm aware of. So like I don't know if there is like someone can jump in and see if they can tell, hey, there are actually expansions for this. But like I said, what's great about this is that with these cards and stuff, you can translate it into like the actual like TTRPG that went over last week, and so like you got in a sense pre-made characters that you can already use for that TTRPG, or like vice versa. Now, I'm of the mind it would be easier to get into something like this and then jump into the TTRPG. So now we got like the starter deck for Daisy Walker here. So you got like the different, like each character is like a different class. Like you can see like the Daisy's like the librarian, and like Wendy here is the urchin. So the, in a sense, the each class or whatever has their own unique abilities and their unique items, allies, and stuff like that. And so in a sense, each starter deck here is unique to this the actual character and everything. So each starter deck, in a sense, like as you can see, has like a little cheat sheet on like how to go about each round and everything. So now we get into like the last deck for the characters. So we see now, I think we struggle to get this open. A good old Roland Banks, the good old federal agent. So in the same kind of concept, has like all the cards, like abilities, items, and allies, and different things that he can use, like for this character. And again, each deck has like a round sequence, in a sense, cheat sheet that you can use. So now that these are all open, I'm gonna like mix them back up to put them back in, and then we can go over. We'll actually go over the back of the box and everything, so people can actually see what's like. Go over a quick back, and so they can get like when you're going into the store and you actually like or like looking to buy like a board game, card game, or whatever. So now the put in this back, like as you can see, I almost forgot to put back the pouch and everything. And now the pouch would be for like these punch outs and everything. So put that back, and as you can see, everything fits nice and neatly back in. So then there you go, we slide it back on. So this is what you'll see on the front when you're going through your gaming store, and then this is on the pretty much the back. It showcases like all the stuff that we just basically went through for this card game. It gives like a brief description, UPC, the contents, it shows what you do. Usually it shows like it takes about 45 minutes per play, 1 to 4 players, a co-op. So you could in essence do this on your own and everything, but like the great thing about stuff like this is actually getting more people involved in everything. So like and again, I'm going to reiterate, like this would be like a great way to get into the actual like horror genre, and like kind of use this as a kind of a stepping stone into the Arkham Horror TTRPG that went over last week. So like I'll link the description for that video and this, so people can go back and watch that. And so now the great thing about these is, like I keep reiterating, is that like they're great in that they can like use vice versa and everything. So, and the great, like again, great thing about this is that this would be a good launching point into that, because you, as you can see, we all, as we went through this, you got all the cards and stuff that kind of like, in a sense, as like I said, jumping points into the actual TTRPG. And so this would be like a good introductory thing. Now, do you necessarily need to do both? No, you can do one or the other, but again, this would be a great way to kind of like oh hey, here's like the horror theme, like, and of course like this is kind of based on like the Cthulhu mythos, and like I do have like a video I can link to in this video as well, where my group and we did go through like a Cthulhu campaign. Now we did use a different system based on the actual Call of Cthulhu game, so this is a slightly different game, but it's based on the same overarching theme, the same kind of concept that you and in the TTRPG, the old gods and Cthulhu do appear in it, so you can go with either or. And what was great is that like not only can you use something like this to kind of bridge the gap from this into the TTRPG, you could take themes like this and take it into like a D&D or even Pathfinder campaign. So if you get into like this actual game and like your group and you okay, this game isn't actually for us, what you can do is take the concepts like I said and like bring it into D&D. Think of like something like the Curse of Strahd campaign adventure book or something. So these are just ideas you can use, and so here's a great introductory into the actual like mythos for like the Arkham horror, Call of Cthulhu, and that kind of genre. So this would be a great starting point for anyone to kind of get like for introductory, and then jumping into the actual TTRPG.